Well, hello everyone, this is Steve Hailstone, Runs with Heart. I'm running with legs today. It is Saturday the 16th, and I just learned it is the first day of deer hunting season. It's a warm one for that. And I just saw a park personnel out here enforcing the rules. It's glad to see me in bright orange. So I guess it is bow season, I'm guessing. I heard some dogs earlier. I thought maybe it was rabbit season. But no. I got a private property. I'm coming up against got a track for four-wheelers and motocross. Sounds like they're moving some dirt around. Oh, we had a nice warm week, all things considered. It was supposed to be rainy even today, but thankfully it is not. I rode my bike Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday I opted to drive because it was forecast. Take the back. I rode my bike in on Wednesday too, thinking it wasn't really going to rain, but it did. So, I got to work. The rain came down really hard in the early afternoon. I was hoping it was going to dry up. Thought it had, and then it rode in drizzle all the way home. The next day, rain was forecast all day. So that day I opted to drive in. And then, of course, it was a dry day. Then I rode my bike in again yesterday. I see fresh horse tracks. Saw some horses on the trail earlier. That's the big creek crossing that in the springtime or during a good rain is nice and tall. Or deep, I should say. Well, I've not fixed all my running ailments by a long shot. What I'm doing today is out here where I can run in place so that way my feet are falling properly, and then lean forward and move until I notice that I'm stepping out in front. I think I tend to do that with my right foot more than my left. If I mentioned a running assessment in my last podcast, that was one of the things that I think showed itself when I was running. Is my feet land differently than each other. So I'm needing to train my feet, train my legs, and still work on strength. I think really what I'm learning is I'm too inconsistent when it comes to working on strengthening the weak areas. Just running does not strengthen your hips or loosen them up if they are constricted, or your glutes need to fire. Well, I mean, they should do that automatically, but I guess we've learned to eliminate using the glutes. So anyway, just try to see if I can run a little. So here we go. Run a little in place, lean forward. The whole glute thing is going to be, I think, probably my biggest piece of work. If I go uphill a little, as I'm doing now, it's easier to maintain the right running form. Downhill and flats are the challenge. I think downhill is kind of the reverse. You lean back a little. Just try to keep your turnover going pretty good. Anyway, so feet are still good and sore. And so would appreciate your cheering me on for working on consistency. So I'm listening to the audio book version of Born to Run. That's, you read through it, you listen to it.
Time, 30 minutes, 42 seconds. Distance, 2 miles. Workout average pace, 15 minutes,
So,
20
you
seconds
come back to
per
it
mile.
after a time and you notice different things, or things that you have been learning since then, and then you hear it fresh, like, oh, that's what I've been learning. All right, a little bit overgrown here. Good for horses mostly. Need more feet falls on these. Mostly afraid of walking through poison ivy than anything. So, the first chore of today was help my son get a piano loaded onto a U-Haul, and he had a little bit of trouble with the U-Haul. He had reserved for a certain town on Thursday, and when he got to pick it up, they said, "We don't have a reservation for you." Evidently what U-Haul does is they redirect you somewhere else, and they're supposed to notify you, and they did not. So he was a bit frustrated and late. So what he had to do was pay over again. Then he'll have to argue with U-Haul over the phone to get reimbursed for the original booking he did online. So it was not a very nice experience. Now, the other part of that not nice experience, so I was responsible for finding some guys to help get the piano loaded. So once he gets to his apartment, guess where that's going? Upstairs. So, oops, just brushed up against something I hope was just grapevine, not poison. So would like to hear him when he's all done, how things went on that end. And then when I get home from here, I will be doing some wood splitting. Got a wood splitter, but I also need to cut up some longer pieces so they will fit in the wood stove. And most of those aren't too thick. There's some really thick pieces that are the right length. They're just huge. Like even moving them to get under the splitter, or Margie says just use some wedges in the sledgehammer. But I think most of those big pieces are poplar, and they act more like sponges, so they don't split so easily. But we'll give it a go. Anyway, the last thing we have on today's schedule is our final wedding of the summer. So after our boys' wedding and the wedding last weekend, we have a local wedding. So we're not having to travel but 20 minutes for that. And this is the former youth pastor where Anna was in a youth group at Hilltown Baptist. That he's still at the church, just not in that role anymore. Or maybe he's not in that role, but has to function that way since they don't have a replacement yet. So anyway, Josh Vanderstel is getting married today to Betsy English, Dutch and English. All right, well, I'm going to keep on my merry way, get myself back into concentrating on moving a little faster than when I typically do when I'm talking. So, at least with intentionality. So intentionally running the right way as I go along. So, it's Steve. Glad to have you along for a little bit. And we'll catch up again. Take care now. Enjoy your trails, extra miles, and your smiles. Smile while you run. All right. Bye-bye.